Well, this standing desk is taking a lot longer to go down than I thought it would, but almost made for a cool entrance. Welcome to the 2024 season of Warrenton's. I think I need to go down a little bit more. Warrenton's finest fantasy football league. It is I, your commissioner, your host, and your enemy, I guess, apparently. Jeff Darling, I'm so happy to be back here with you guys. And yeah, we're here. I'm not doing anything fancy this week because it's very late. I've been building a chicken coop all day, and I just got back from a giant road trip yesterday. So a little bit tired. Didn't watch the debate last night. Wasn't going to waste my time. That's a bad impression. But anyways. All right. Hey, welcome again to week one. So let's just get into it. Week one recap. Now, as I said, I was on a road trip. I was driving to Kentucky. I saw a billboard while I was there that said, "Leave those chicken sandwiches to us." And then right down the street was a Chick-fil-A, and that's where we got food. So, sorry, Kentucky. Anyways, I was driving to Kentucky on Sunday, so I missed basically all the football this weekend. And fantasy football is not as fun when you just set your lineup and then check it on Tuesday, like Brandon does. Now, I know Brandon had good success with this last year, but when you don't really get when you don't have the ebb and flow of disappointment, going to elation, going to total discouragement and depression, back into excitement as you watch that, that little bar of like percentage chance to win go from 92% down to 38% to 76% to 99% to 2% to 0%. That roller coaster of emotions, if you just turn on, just like with all sports, really, if you just don't watch anything and just say, I wonder who won the game yesterday, and then you look and see the score was 17-13, you miss all the excitement. Same with fantasy. If you just open it up and see that the Dallas Jeff Boys won 93.8 to the Weasels 82.24, you'd be like, all right, good job, Jeff. It looks like your team did a pretty good job. But you would have missed out, especially if you weren't in our Discord chat, which is not possible because the only way that you're watching this is if you're in Discord, which is currently only like 3 of our league's members. But that's okay. That's okay. It's not okay. We need more participation. But anyways, if you just looked at that score, you'd say, 93-82. Good job, Jeff. It looks like your team did, less than projected, but better than Paul's team. But you would miss the excitement of everybody in the league conspiring to try to notify Paul that Christian McCaffrey was going from questionable to out minutes before the Monday Night Football game kicked off. And you might even wonder, well, why does everyone care if someone else in the league isn't paying attention to who's in or out on their lineup? And I asked that very same question. I said, wow, we sure have a considerate group of league members here, or maybe everyone just really doesn't want me to win. Either way, I've taken notes and written down names of all of those who were very concerned for Paul's welfare, and it turns out our good buddy Paul was cruising in the Caribbean. We are one of his 4 fantasy football leagues, and Paul, if you're watching this, I did text you. I wanted it to be a fair fight. I'm glad you didn't check it because Jonathan Mason would have crushed me and I would have lost. And I would have been like a little bit more bitter than I am right now. I'm still bitter, but at least I won. So like that's the one thing I got going for me. But Greg, you messaged, Matt wanted to message, Sean, I think you're mostly joking, but anyways, I'll move on, but I'll never forget. Anyways, so Dallas Chef Boys beat the Weasel. Next up, we had Team Queen against Uncle Touchdown. And again, talk about the ebb and flow, looking at the final score. The Team Queen 104.3 to Sean's 122.6. He'd be like, sure, Sean's league champion. Hannah was the league loser. No surprises here. But you may be surprised to know that Hannah at one point around like 5:29 p.m. on Sunday had like a 78% chance to win. And then Puka Nakuka broke his leg or something, and Cooper Kupp said, the Rams are still my team. I'm still the guy here in LA. And that 20-point swing really was the difference maker. So Hannah, condolences. Sean, already we're like 16 minutes into this season, and I think Sean already has like 17 waiver moves. So pretty impressive. But I have not gotten a single trade request yet. So Carlos and Sean, you guys are slipping. All right, next up, we had Team Touchdown against the slightly above average team, the battle of our auto drafters. Now, which computer-built team did a better job? Well, looking at the scores, again, I didn't really pay attention to this one, and I don't think either Dan or Jason did either. You guys are in the league, though, just in case you were wondering. I don't know if you set your lineups. I know you didn't draft your teams. And either way, it didn't go so great. Although you guys both would have handily beaten me. So say what you will about auto draft, but they apparently pick a better team than old Jeff does. Anyways, Dan beats Jason 117.5 to 98.6. And a couple missed opportunities on the bench there for Jason. But, I mean, what are you going to do? It's fantasy, guys. All right, next up, we had Matt going up against Brandon. Chat GB Lee against Gone Fishing. And this game, I at least feel better that I outscored you two, because this was a real interesting game. And by interesting, I mean, wow, not so great. Everybody wishes that they played you. And 75 for Matt, 85 for Brandon. So Brandon handily beat Matt. And Matt, your team actually never really had a very high projection for this week, but I didn't think it would still underperform the way that it did. Anyways, it's only 1 week. Jalen Hurts, he was your highest scorer. No, he wasn't. This dude that I can't say either of his names on Miami, 19 points. But your bench didn't do that much better. So that's the only consolation, Matt. It's not like if you had played this person, you would have won, and didn't play this person, you would have won. Brandon, your bench did nothing, so you better hope that your team kind of gets it together, because Stephon Diggs and CJ Stroud are probably, hey, Houston and Houston. Well, you put all your eggs in that Texans basket. We'll see how that plays out for you. It played out for you well, just because you were playing Matt. Next up, we had Greg going against our not anymore league defending champion league champ. We had Greg going up against Mike. And, well, this beatdown was so bad that Greg had to, actually, I think Greg, again, beginning and ending, but if you're paying attention, Greg was up here, because after the Thursday night game, he had, I believe, if my count is correct, close to 60 points just from Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley. And, Mike only had 11 points because he just had one person play. But, you're riding a little bit of a high there, Greg, after a 60-11 lead coming out of Thursday night. But unfortunately for you, that was indeed 60% of your points just from 2 people of your team. And everybody else didn't do a darn thing. Your bench, a lot of missed opportunity there, Greg. But Mike had it coming. 137 to 103. And the beatdown was so bad that Greg actually had to change his team name halfway through the match. And if this is indeed his last year, it's been quite the run, Greg. We'll miss you. Maybe. All right, next up, we had Michael Cup going against Carlos. Carlos, I don't want to say your team name, even though I'm the stupid me. I think I'm the one that put it in your brain. But anyways, talk about a beatdown. Are you the lowest points? Nope. Matt still had lower than you, Carlos. But Michael beats Carlos 129 to 79. And Michael is our... Nope, Mike is. Mike and Michael, the top 2 scorers this year. Carlos and Matt, the 2 lowest scorers. And Jaden Daniels, the only bright side about the Commanders game on Sunday was the fact that Jaden Daniels looked pretty fantasy-wise. That's a lot of points for a Washington player. Highest I've ever seen since probably RG3. And I don't even remember fantasy football back. That was a long time ago. Also, Michael, Joey Sly, should have picked him up. He was a real ball star, rock star. I don't know. He was really good at kicking for the Patriots. Go figure. And the Commanders kicker was so bad that they dropped him the day after. And they traded for him. That's funny. That's not even... That's just silly. All right, guys. Well, that is our recap from week 1. Looking at our matchups for week 2, again, I want to make sure everyone notifies everyone if anybody has a questionable player or maybe doubtful or maybe out. So Hannah, oh my goodness, you're going up against me and you have a player who's out. Puka Nakuka is out. You better put him in your IR. Because right now I'm projected to beat you 108-99. Greg, make sure you message Hannah. Matt, message Hannah. I know you have her number. Everybody else, if you want to message Hannah, let her know that she has a player who's out and she's playing against Jeff. So you gotta let her know that she has a player who's out. Quick, everybody. Oh, my kid's toys just started making noise and it's... Why are you making noise? That's scary. All right, next up we have Uncle Touchdown going against Team Touchdown. And the projection right now... Stop singing, Car. That's really creepy. Do you hear that? Okay. All right. So Sean projected 120 to Dan's 107.7. Next up, the Weasel. Maybe back from his vacation, maybe not. Going up against Jason. Projection right now, Weasel 92 to Jason's 105. And Christian McCaffrey's questionable. Guys, make sure you stay in touch with Paul. Make sure you see if he's actually questionable or out. Make sure Paul knows, because he's never done fantasy football before. Just... Anyways, next up, my last year. So Greg going against Matt. Greg, you got a pretty good chance this week. Or maybe Matt has a good chance, because right now, Greg projected to win 114 to Matt's 106. Couple Qs on there. Questionable. Make sure you guys check their status of injury. Okay, then up, ChatGB League going against the overachiever right now. Michael projected to win 114.7 to Brandon's 110. The final matchup, Mike Weiss against Carlos, and Mike is projected 106.8 to Carlos's 106.8, a tie, a projection tie. I love it when that happens. It's so exciting. Anyways, we'll see what happens. Football kicks off again tomorrow night, so everybody, all jesting aside, do check your lineups. Remember, our punishment this year is the 12-month calendar. Matt, I think, might just end up throwing every game and going 0-12, because I think he really, this is the third time he's mentioned it, really wants to recreate the scene from Seinfeld, George Costanza. So I personally am here for it. I would love for that to happen. And we will order a calendar for everyone that we know. At your work, at church, everyone. Everyone gets one. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for participating again. I'm happy that we were doing fantasy football again, even though as soon as the games started, I realized I've had a lot of inner peace in my brain for the last 7 months, and it was instantly snatched away as I began nervously checking football scores. But we're here. It's happening. Let's do it. So we'll see you guys on the gridiron, but not really, because we're just a bunch of nerds staring at our phones. I sure hope that Matthew Stafford gets me those points. All right. Have a good week. I'll talk to you guys later.